this is a new car. So from those exterior shots that you just saw before, this is my new 1992, well I guess new to me, 1992 Acura NSX. This example is finished in Grand Prix white, black interior, and a 5-speed manual. And as you can see, for those that can see the subtle differences, this car itself isn't stock. So I'm just going to give you a quick walk around of the car, dive into what's been done to it, and kind of go from there. Okay, so the car, to start off, has a set of Volk CE28s finished in bronze. These are a staggered setup. The rear are a 18 by 10.5 plus 22, and the fronts are, I believe, a 17 by 7.5 plus 42. So fairly conservative in the front. As you can see, there's some fender gap there, just in terms of flushness, but we'll get to that in a bit. The rear fitment is actually pretty nice and flush, pretty happy with that. It's lowered on KW V3 coilovers, has a few other adjustable suspension goodies. It has a Titec GT lightweight exhaust with test pipes to delete the factory cats. And the other exterior piece is it has this carbon fiber Sabon NSXR style rear wing. So getting inside the car, you can see that it has a aftermarket steering wheel setup. This is actually my Alcantara finished Momo Monte Carlo in a 350mm that was originally on my S2000 that I outfitted on this car. As you can see, we have the NSXR horn button as well. Couple other things, just different stereo with obviously a different center console, and then just a different shift knob. Otherwise, fairly simple inside and out, and we'll talk a little bit about the car. So for those of you that have followed me on the channel, you know that I currently have my S2000. I had a previous S2000 before, ideally a Honda Insight. Overall, I'm a very big fan of the Honda make. Used to own different variations of Civics growing up, and kind of just moved up to the S2000 as that kind of, I guess, logical next step in the Honda hierarchy. And obviously this was at the top of that. So this was always a dream of mine. I still kind of go back to when I had graduated university and these cars were still fairly affordable. Here in Canada, they were roughly around that high 30s, low 40s mark for a decent example. And I told myself I could either blow all my life savings so far coming out of school, buy an NSX, or do the adult thing and buy a place to live. And I ended up doing the latter, bought a condo here in Calgary, but in hindsight, an NSX would have been a much better investment because I paid a lot more than that high 30s, low 40s mark for this car. I won't necessarily disclose how much I paid for the car itself. Those that know me personally will know kind of roughly idea or the exact price that I paid. But overall, the market for NSXs and overall just any other aspiring JDM cars have been pretty ridiculous, especially with the onset of the pandemic. So I wanted to jump on this before it truly became into that level of unattainable. So funny story, I was actually looking into NSXs before I bought my other S2000, the one that I bought last summer, and that was fairly modified, but kind of I was looking to shop for an NSX at the time. They were kind of roughly in that, well, I guess, high 60s, low 70s mark, but tried to find deals, never really ended up coming through with anything. These cars are very difficult to come by used, and most that do come up are out either west in BC or out east in Ontario or Quebec. Me being here in Calgary, it was very difficult to kind of compete with local buyers out there. Me wanting to have to get an inspection, etc., because my plans were to drive the car over here instead of having it shipped. And just kind of overall that idea of buying a car sight unseen was not really the most confidence-inspiring thing. Fast forward 2 years later, I have a very understanding partner who kind of lets me enjoy these things. And I was looking on, our local classifieds, Kijiji, and this car popped up as a feeler ad. And then I also had a few other friends send it to me as well. So without hesitation, I jumped on that. I messaged the seller. It was just a feeler ad, but kind of started him asking questions, etc. He immediately kind of took down the ad shortly after, mainly because he was getting bombarded with a lot of different, people who weren't serious or just looking to waste his time, typical online classifieds things. But he ended up giving me his contact information because I guess for me, I came across as a serious buyer, and we ended up setting a time to look at the car. My wife and I went to look at it with me, and I really liked the car, got it inspected, everything relatively checked out, or there were no hidden surprises, and got the car, and here it is.